Welcome back to the Big Band Scene Revisited. I'm your co-host, Gerald Woodruff. Here on part 4 of the interview at Disneyland with Woody Herman is a very special interview. A great interview with Woody's right-hand man, Mr. Bill Byrnes. So without any further interruptions, let's go to part 4 of the Big Band Scene Revisited interview with Woody Herman live at Disneyland with Freddie's interview with Bill Byrnes.
Okay, we're off and running now. We're backstage here at Carnation Bandstand where I'm talking with, I assume, the guy they call the Road Father, whom the album's named after, Mr. Bill Byrnes.
Hi, good to see you tonight, Fred.
Yeah, the band's really cooking. That Caledonia gets wilder and faster and faster. Is there any end?
Well, it depends on the agility of the rhythm section. Right now we've got one of the best ones we've ever had. John Riley and Mark Johnson, who just went with Bill Evans, which we're sorry to hear about that, but we're glad for him because it's something he always wanted to do all his life. And then Dave Lalama on piano. So all together they work real well together.
Mr. Bill, you have been with the band now for about 15...
13 years, since August 1965.
Now, as I understand that the average length for any player coming on the band is about 1 year or maybe 15 months, and then they leave and go elsewhere. Well, now 13 years with the same woman now.
Same man.
Same man, same band.
Right.
I mean, there has to be a reason.
Well, actually, when I came on the band, I was like, it was my 29th birthday, and I'd already done some of the things, like playing some shows in New York and being a Naval Academy band, so something like this was something I always wanted to do, and I guess I'm just filling it out what I wanted to do. You know, I enjoy it, and I'm always surrounded by terrific musicians, whereas sometimes you get in situations where you're not, and this fulfills what I want to do, basically, as a player.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned musicians now. Now, the Woody Herman Band, in your 13 years you've been with the band, there's been a lot of personnel changes. Correct. But yet, being road manager, and I assume that it's left up to you, you're always coming up with beautiful players who equal, if not better, than the player who left the band. Now, how in the world do you do it?
Well, I keep like a file on everybody, and I talk to a lot of guys. But basically, the way we get guys that are recommended by other guys in the band, and they're keeping their ears out too. And so when we hear about somebody that's terrific, then we kind of plan to get them. Is what it boils down to. Like Mark on the bass, he played a one-nighter with us several years ago, and it wasn't interested, and then last summer he was interested, and it fit in perfectly with our plans. And Birch Johnson on trombone, he wrote me letters for 3 years.
Wanted to get on the band.
Yeah, he was from the University of Alabama originally, and his band director wrote me letters. Bill Watrous wrote me a letter. Bill Berry wrote me a letter.
For recommendation, here this cat, man, get him on the band.
Yeah, and that's really the way it works. And
yeah, well, when you get recommendations like guys, Bill Berry or Bill Watrous now, I'm sure that you read that and listen very carefully.
Well, in Bill Berry's case, I've known him since 1954 because he and I both started at the College of Music in Cincinnati together. And then he was there 1 year, and then he went on to Berklee School of Music, and I followed his career. And you know, he's a terrifically talented guy. He plays vibraphone. He does all writes. He's really a multi-talented person. He's a band leader now, right?
Right, and don't forget, you're quite a multi-talented trumpet player, flugelhorn artist, and road manager. And, well, for somebody who's been with Woody Herman for 13 years, that's quite an endurance test, huh?
Well, to me, it's not an endurance test because I enjoy it most of the time, you know, so consequently, I don't think of it as endurance at all. It's something I like to do, so endurance isn't involved at all.
Yeah, well, you lost a good player just recently, Bruce Johnstone, under very unusual circumstances, I heard.
Oh, yes, he was nabbed by a young lady from Erie, Pennsylvania.
And also a musical instrument company.
Yes, Selmer, right. But that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to settle down, and in his life, that's a step for him right now.
Yeah, but he was an excellent baritone player. Not only that, but let's see, bass clarinet.
Right.
A good singer, too, with his little bit on I've Got News for You.
And a very fine composer. He wrote most of that material for the New York Mary group, the 2 albums that they did. So I think, Bruce, you'll see him appear here on the West Coast pretty quick, though, in the next few months, just to fulfill his playing career and everything, and also his family life, too. Make because the West Coast can do that for a person.
Yeah, right. Yeah, as soon as the thrill of the romance of the marriage, kind of the honeymoon wears off, he'll be wandering back.
Yes, don't let him hear us say that. But I'm sure he wants to make, a nice balance out of both aspects of it.
Yeah, you have another player that takes a sabbatical once in a while, comes back to the band, Gary Anderson.
That's correct. He just left us 2 weeks ago. He has recording work in New York and Atlanta. He goes back and forth between those 2 areas, and Frank Tiberi right now is involved in promoting T-shirts and albums for the band, so he has to go back to Massachusetts every once in a while, and so Gary takes his place, subs for him, which is very convenient for Frank, right?
But when a new player, take a guy like Alan Vazzuti, who's a tremendous trumpet player, and of course you don't do fire dance anymore, because that was his piece. But when a guy leaves like that and a new one comes on, or maybe a drummer leaves, Jeff Hamilton left, you brought in Riley. Right. But is it hard for those new guys to fit in, and it takes a little while to adjust to the band? Do you lose any of the quality or the sound, or?
No, because you're not expecting something different immediately. You're not trying to recapture what, say, Jeff was doing on drums or Alan on the trumpet. You take and use the man's abilities, the capabilities that comes in, and then you take advantage of what they can do, feature them. So we don't try to go back to anything we had before. We hope to get something new ideas.
Yeah. When I was being a road manager, I'm sure you run into a lot of problems. What do you have to do? You have to take care of the discipline, make sure that all the many things that go to make up a traveling band.
Well, actually, the only thing we hope is that everybody will be on the bandstand, say at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or 8 o'clock, and we try to stay out of their personal affairs otherwise. And usually the guys take very good care of themselves.
Yeah, what a guy does off the bandstand, it's his business or his whatever.
99% of the time, sometimes there's always a small case where you have to get involved if something's happening, but we try to stay out of their personal business and let them solve it, If there's a few personality conflicts, I'll let the guys iron it out themselves instead of trying to mediate the thing, unless you have to, but very seldom does that happen.
Well, over 13 years you've been with the band, it's been pretty stable. You haven't had any real problems that a lot of bands have to go through with the drinking problems, drug problems, and all of that sometimes really can hit a band and hurt a band.
Yeah, our guys do have, like anybody, they're on the road, so they want to relax, and they do drink, and there have been some guys been involved in dope, but everything has been very moderate. Especially, I would say, since the 70s, the guys really just aren't interested in it as far as getting strung out or anything. They'll have to take a drink and relax, and that's about it. They're more interested in their music and finding out more about it, really.
Yeah. Well, now, you've been, over the 13 years, you've seen a lot of changes in the Woody Herman band over the years. But with these changes, though, and with the different audiences that you have around the world, since it's an international band, how do you think the band, you see a lot of the old people probably leave because of the advancements Woody makes, and you get a lot of new people. But how do the kids seem to be coming around to the band now?
Our audiences with kids are bigger than ever. I've seen in the last 2 to 3 years terrific advancements, which I mean this, that our 5 to 6 days a week we're playing in high schools and colleges. Whereas, say, 3 to 4 or 5 years ago, we might be playing American Legion and Elks Club and maybe 1 or 2 high school and colleges. So in 3 years, it's been a terrific rate of advancement. And the other thing is the kids themselves, their playing ability. In the stage bands, they're improving tremendously. Every year they sound better, which is really
and a lot of, Woody was telling me, a lot of them are playing there's more and more colleges and high schools playing the Woody Herman chart, probably more than any other band around.
One reason for that, naturally, is because of the Hal Leonard people decided 3 years goes to publish these things, and Gary Anderson and Hermie Dressel, Woody's manager, were very instrumental in making everything available that Hal Leonard wanted. You know, we would, any album we recorded, we always published everything we could off that album, so then Hal Leonard would offer the album plus the arrangements, so you could hear what the guys sounded like, and
and hear what the arrangement when the band performed it. Yeah. Well, you think the kids are really coming around to the big bands now?
Definitely. There's something like 750,000 students involved in big band music now. They figured about 35,000 big bands in the United States, right?
But these are all college bands now.
Junior high school.
Well, where are all these musicians going to play now? Woody Herman is only one band.
Actually, you see that they're playing for their own functions in school, which is interesting, right? Because before they weren't involved with school functions, but they're playing for more school functions. And they have their own concerts. They're making little tours of their own.
Around the perimeter of the school there,
they go to different places, you know, they're in their state areas and everything. It's really, I think, more interesting for the kids. And the girls, you know, that's the big thing are the girls, these terrific saxophone players and everything.
Yeah, they're really coming around now. You think there'll ever be any females in the taking Bill Byrnes' place in the trumpet section, or even playing with Woody's band? And look at Harry, he's got a fine baritone player, Beverly Carmen.
North Texas State, right? Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, really, because I've had a girlfriend who was a girl trumpet player who played much better than I did, but I think in the next year or two you'll definitely see more women in all these bands.
Yeah, well, we had a few female leaders back in the 40s, Honoree Hutton and several of them, and there's only about one, I think, Toshiko Akiyoshi with the Rudabakan. She's going great.
So that's a terrific band. That's a very refreshing experience for all, you know, big band players to listen to, and the direction that they're going in. Well, naturally, it's her influence, partly from Japan, which she incorporates in the music, and it's her own feeling, right? As a composer, which is really important. That's why Duke Ellington had such a special band. He was a composer, and he reflected all the people and everything around him, the musicians, the world around him, everything, and Toshiko does the same thing.
What do you think, if somebody was to leave the band and somebody recommended a good female player, would you bring her in?
Sure. It has nothing to do with anything. With all that, just come in and play, and it speaks for itself. You know.
All right. Now that brings up the question: how would she travel, in the bus?
Of course. Girls would probably adapt to it better than the guys do. You know? Yeah. No, actually, over the years, you know, Woody had several musicians with him. Billy Rogers.
Yeah, he had Billy Rogers, too, yeah.
The famous lady trumpet player from Montana, where I was from, too. And she had her own band after she left Woody. But as far as adapting to traveling with the guys, that doesn't enter into it at all, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, of course, Woody was one of the innovators on that when he brought Billy Rogers into the band. Right. She was a fine trumpet player.
Terrific trumpet player. In fact, I know he's told you this story, that when they were playing the theaters, she was playing fifth, and then by the end of the evening, all the other guys were wiped out, so he was playing first, right, at the end of the show, at the end of the evening. So. And then she did have her, like I said, her own band. She sang in the front of the band and everything. Yeah. In fact, there's an album out right now, I believe.
Was that right?
Yeah.
Billy Rogers. Yeah. Where's she at now?
I don't know.
She faded from the scene.
Woody ran into her just recently, and I don't remember where in the heck it was. I don't know what to tell you. But we have seen her in the last year or two, definitely.
Well, that'd be great if you can get...
Well, I hope you enjoyed part 4 of Freddie's interview with Bill Byrnes, Woody's right-hand man, here live at Disneyland on the Big Band Scene Revisited. So for the Big Band Scene Revisited, Fred Woodruff Productions, and Sierra Pine Studios, I'm Gerald Woodruff.